Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to Midnight Affairs Tales. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you are watching from right now. Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story, Chapter 1. The rifle's scope framed the elegant gala in its crosshairs, but Travis Collins was not here to kill. His finger rested lightly on the trigger guard, eyes steady as the lens glided over shimmering gowns and forced laughter. The glassy clink of champagne glasses masked the lies in this room, but Travis heard them loud and clear. He was not aiming to end lives tonight. He was here to end lies. From the rooftop across the street, Travis watched his wife, Ashley, step onto the balcony. She wore a dress the color of betrayal, crimson, bold, shimmering in the city lights. Her laughter rang out, and even from here, Travis could tell it was hollow. She leaned closer to Mark Thompson, her secret lover and a petty criminal with eyes as sharp as broken glass. The man's hand pressed low on her back, a secret signal in plain sight. Travis inhaled, slow and steady. The old sniper's rhythm steadied his pulse. He had once trained to end lives at 1,000 yards. Tonight, he would end a story that should have died the moment Ashley crossed the line. His calm was not an act. It was a lifetime of control honed in deserts and jungles, now turned inward to hold back a tidal wave of rage. A voice crackled in his earpiece, Ray's low whisper. "You sure you want to watch this, Travis? We have the proof." "We do not need. I need to see it," Travis said. His words were cold, each syllable deliberate. Ashley leaned in closer to Mark. Her lips moved in a private whisper. Travis could not hear her words, but he knew their venom. She looked radiant, a perfect picture of elegance, and every inch of it was a lie. Travis' hand never wavered on the rifle. "Tonight is not about pulling a trigger," he murmured. "It is about pulling the truth into the light." Ray's sigh crackled back in his ear. "Then let it all come out. God help them." Travis watched as the two of them clinked their glasses together, oblivious to the cold eye above them. He adjusted the scope one last time, his breathing as smooth as a midnight tide. A question pulsed in his mind, sharp as the edge of a blade. Would they still smile when the truth came crashing down? Wait, if this story gave you chills or made you think twice about trust, don't just scroll away. Hit that like button to support the channel, and subscribe if you never want to miss another jaw-dropping tale. We drop new stories every week that'll leave you speechless. To everyone who's already subscribed, sending you heartfelt love and thanks. Join the family, because here, every story hits different. Now, let's dive back into the story. 2 weeks earlier, Travis' world was a portrait of American calm. Morning coffee brewed in the kitchen, the scent of vanilla creamer hanging warm in the air. Ethan sat at the table, textbooks spread out, his junior year math scribbled in neat lines. Travis watched his son's brow furrow as he worked, pride warming his chest. Ashley moved through the house in her silk robe, humming a soft tune as she poured herself tea. Her smile was soft, practiced, the same smile that had once melted Travis' defenses in a heartbeat. He watched her, the way her hair fell around her face, how she kissed Ethan's head lightly as she passed. It was a picture-perfect family. A suburban dream framed in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of life people fought wars to protect. And for a long time, Travis believed it was real. He believed Ashley's laughter was pure, that her sweet touches meant love, not manipulation. But the first crack appeared like a shadow in the sun. A text message, half glimpsed on Ashley's phone, her quick thumb brushing it away. She said it was nothing, a work text. Travis' gut said otherwise. He let it go, for a day, maybe 2. But the memory of that quick flicker in her eyes, it was a flicker he had seen before, in enemies overseas who lied to his face as they hid weapons under their robes. It was not just suspicion, it was instinct. That night, he planted the camera, a hidden lens in the office corner, tucked between the dusty shelves of forgotten paperbacks. He told himself he was crazy, that it was paranoia left over from combat. But when he lay awake at night, he knew the truth. He had trusted the wrong person. The next morning, Ashley's kisses were sweet, her laughter bright. But Travis watched her with new eyes. He saw the way her fingers twitched when her phone lit up, the way her smile never reached her eyes when she looked at him. The Marine in him stirred, cold and focused. He did not raise his voice or confront her. He let her play her part, because he was already writing the ending. The footage played out in flickering silence on Travis' laptop screen. In the glow of the single desk lamp, he watched Ashley slip into the office at midnight, phone clutched tight. She spoke in a low murmur, her words lost to the cheap microphone, but her face said everything. She was smiling for someone else. Travis leaned closer to the screen, his breath shallow. Mark's name flashed in the text preview, over and over. I miss you. I want you. We are almost there. Almost there. Travis' jaw tightened. What were they almost there for? What did they think they were building on the bones of his family? Ashley's voice, sweet and soft, drifted through the walls as she ended her call. She paused by Ethan's bedroom door, her expression flickering, motherly concern or the mask of it. She hesitated only a moment before slipping into their bed, curling up against Travis' sleeping frame as if nothing had changed. But everything had. In the darkness, Travis stared at the ceiling, every muscle tense. The Marine sniper in him cataloged every detail. Her soft breathing, the faint scent of Mark's cologne clinging to her hair. She did not realize he was awake. She did not realize he was already plotting her downfall. The next morning, she kissed him like always, warm and sweet. Travis let her. He forced his smile, forced his gentle words. He watched her walk out the door to work, watched her lies leave with her. As the door clicked shut, Travis turned back to the footage. He did not flinch. He did not rage. He wrote every word of their betrayal into the edges of his mind, sharpening it like a blade. One question haunted him like a ghost in the room. How deep did this betrayal run? And how far would he go to carve it out? Travis sat in the dim light of his study, the soft hum of the old desk lamp the only sound in the room. His eyes scanned the grainy footage on the screen, each frame a piece of the puzzle. Ashley's laughter, Mark's confident tone. Even in the hushed recordings, the truth was clear. He leaned back, the chair creaking under his weight. The Marine in him recognized a pattern. Mark's voice was always calm, always coaxing. Ashley's laughter was a little too bright, her glances a little too quick. There was a rhythm to their betrayal, a dance that they thought was invisible. But Travis saw it all. He clicked through stills, zooming in on details. Ashley's ring flashing in the low light, Mark's expensive watch catching the gleam. They were bold. They thought their secret was safe because Travis was too blind, too trusting. He remembered how Ashley's hand would rest on his shoulder when they hosted dinner parties, how Mark's smile was always just a bit too friendly. The memories burned like acid in his mind. But he forced himself to keep watching, because this was not about the pain anymore. This was about precision. He took notes, each word written with the steady hand of a sniper. Tuesday night calls. 11:34 p.m. Repeated mention of offshore account. Every fact was a bullet in the chamber, and he would not miss. As dawn crept through the blinds, Travis shut the laptop. He rose slowly, his muscles stiff from hours of stillness. In the mirror, he saw a man stripped of illusions. The perfect husband was gone, replaced by a soldier on a mission. He whispered to himself, each word a vow. They wanted to play games? They chose the wrong opponent. Outside, the world was waking up. Inside, Travis' war had already begun. Later that day, Travis moved through the house like a ghost, quiet, watchful. Ashley bustled around the kitchen, humming as she packed a picnic basket for a charity event. Her movements were graceful, but to Travis, they were a performance. He let her chatter fill the air, his own replies measured and warm. But inside, he was focused on the small slip, a folded bank statement she thought she had hidden. As she turned away to reach for a wine bottle, Travis plucked it from the counter. Offshore accounts. Unmarked deposits. Names he did not recognize. He slipped the paper into his pocket as she turned back with a bright smile. Travis, do you want to come with me tonight? It might be fun. Her voice was sugar, but her eyes were cold. He forced a smile. No, you go ahead. I have work to finish up. She kissed his cheek, lingering for a moment too long. Her perfume, sweet jasmine, felt like a poison in his lungs. As she left, Travis unfolded the bank statement again. Names of shell companies, a Cayman Islands address. He did not need to guess whose money this was. It was his. His savings, his sweat, funneled into the pockets of a criminal. His hands were steady as he reached for his phone, dialing the only number he trusted now. Ray, he said, voice low. I need you. It is bigger than I thought. Ray's gravelly tone crackled back. I figured. What did you find? Proof, Travis said. She is not just cheating. She is helping him launder money. And they are using my son as cover. Ray was silent for a moment, then let out a long breath. Then we hit them hard, Travis. We hit them smart. Travis nodded to the empty room. We will. No more doubts. No more waiting. That night, Travis set up his equipment in the small back office. He checked every wire, every battery, his mind a cool current of focus. He knew how to wait. He had spent days in sniper hides, his breath still, his finger resting just above the trigger. This was no different. He queued up the recordings, his hand hovering over the volume. Ashley's voice was the first to come through, soft, playful, the tone of a woman who thought she was safe. Mark, she whispered, laughter coloring her words. You know he suspects nothing. He trusts me completely. Travis' jaw flexed, but he did not let his hands shake. Mark's response was a low chuckle. Good. Because if he knew, if he even had a clue, everything would fall apart. He will never know, Ashley said. Her voice was silk. He is too busy playing the perfect husband. Travis closed his eyes, her words echoing like gunshots in his mind. He remembered every dinner they had shared, every quiet moment. Lies, all of it. But now he saw them for what they were, weaknesses. Weapons he would turn back on them. Mark's voice turned serious. We need to move the money soon. And the shipment, your son's name, is the key. Once it is done, we are gone. You and me. I know, she breathed. I cannot wait. Travis opened his eyes, the icy calm settling over him again. There was no anger now, only clarity. They thought they could use his son's name as a shield. They thought he would break when he found out. No, he was a Marine. He had learned to wait, to strike only when the shot was clear. He pressed the record button, his voice low and certain. I have everything I need, he whispered. They will not see it coming. The night outside was quiet, but inside, the war had begun in earnest. The following morning, Travis sat at the kitchen table, his fingers drumming against the worn oak surface. The sun streamed through the window, warm and bright, but his mind was a storm of ice and steel. Ashley moved around the kitchen in her flowing robe, pouring coffee with a smile that was too perfect, too practiced. He watched her carefully, studying every movement. Her laugh was a little too light, her touch a little too gentle. It was all an act, and now he knew it. She set the mug down in front of him, her eyes bright. You seem distracted today, Travis. Long night. He looked up at her, his face calm. Just a lot on my mind. Work, you know. Ashley reached out, resting her hand on his shoulder. I know you have been working so hard. Maybe we should take a weekend away. Just us. The suggestion was honey-sweet, but Travis heard the poison beneath it. He forced a smile. That sounds nice. Maybe soon. As she turned away, his phone buzzed in his pocket. A message from Ray. The councilman is deeper in this than we thought. Meet tonight. Travis' fingers tightened around the phone. He rose from the table, his movements deliberate. I am going for a run, he said, his tone easy. Ashley's smile never wavered. Of course. Take your time. Outside, the cool morning air cut through the haze in his mind. He ran hard, each step pounding out the fury coiled in his chest. The lies, the betrayal, they had grown beyond a marriage. They had become a conspiracy, and now, his mission was clear. He met Ray at an old diner just off the interstate, the scent of stale coffee hanging thick in the air. Ray's eyes were sharp, his expression serious. Travis, the councilman has been laundering money through Mark for years. He is using your family as cover. Travis leaned forward, his voice low. Then we take them all down. Every single one. Ray's lips twitched into a thin smile. That is the Travis I remember. Let us get to work. Travis arrived home late that night, his mind buzzing with the weight of Ray's revelations. As he slipped through the door, he heard Ethan's voice drift from the living room. The boy was hunched over his laptop, the faint glow illuminating his worried face. "Dad." Ethan's head snapped up as Travis entered, his voice small but urgent. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Travis felt a pang in his chest. "Of course. What is on your mind?" Ethan hesitated, glancing back at the laptop. "I saw Mom's phone. She left it on the counter, and there were messages. From Mark." Travis' breath stilled. He moved closer, his steps slow and measured. "What kind of messages, son?" Ethan swallowed hard, his hands fidgeting. "They were talking about me, about using my name for something. I did not understand all of it, but it scared me." Travis crouched down, resting a steady hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You did the right thing telling me. Listen to me carefully. None of this is your fault. None of it." Ethan's eyes brimmed with tears. "What is happening, Dad? Why would she do this?" Travis drew in a slow breath, fighting to keep his voice calm. "Because she has lost her way, son. But I promise you, I am not going to let anyone hurt you. Not her. Not Mark. No one." Ethan nodded, his jaw set in a way that reminded Travis of himself at that age. "What are you going to do, Dad?" Travis rose to his full height, his voice steady and cold. "I am going to end this. But you have to trust me. Can you do that?" Ethan nodded again, his eyes wide but resolute. "I trust you." Travis pressed a hand to his son's head, the briefest moment of comfort. Then he turned away, his mind already racing ahead. The lines had been drawn. His family had become a pawn in someone else's game, and he would be damned if he let that stand. The next morning, Travis stood in the doorway of the garage, the smell of motor oil and old cardboard thick in the air. He worked quietly, organizing tools, wiping down the workbench, simple tasks that kept his hands busy and his mind focused. Ashley appeared in the doorway, dressed in a sleek navy dress, her hair perfectly styled. "I am heading to the city," she said, her voice light and breezy. "Big meeting with the councilman today." Travis turned, his eyes locking onto hers. "The councilman," he repeated, his tone neutral. She flashed him that perfect smile. "Yes, he wants to discuss some fundraising project. Nothing you need to worry about." Travis' lips curved slightly, though the smile never reached his eyes. "Of course. Drive safe." Ashley hesitated a moment, sensing the edge in his tone. But she turned and left without another word, the click of her heels echoing down the driveway. When she was gone, Travis exhaled slowly. He moved to the workbench, pulling out a small, black notebook. Each page was filled with names, numbers, connections, the growing web of lies and deceit. He traced a finger down the page, each name a target in his mind. He paused over Mark's name, the ink etched in bold letters. Mark was not just a lover. He was the key to it all, the link between Ashley, the councilman, and the dirty money flowing through the city. Travis snapped the notebook shut, the sound sharp in the still air. He slipped it into the inner pocket of his jacket, his movements deliberate and controlled. He walked back into the house, his footsteps silent. In the hallway mirror, he caught his reflection, eyes hard, jaw set. The man staring back was not the husband Ashley thought she knew. This was the Marine, the protector, the man who would tear down everything they had built to keep his son safe. He took a slow breath, his pulse steady. "No more waiting," he whispered. "No more lies." The war had begun, and Travis was ready. Travis spent the evening in the back room of Ray's small office, the glow of a single desk lamp casting sharp shadows across the maps and files spread before them. Ray's hands moved quickly, tracing lines on the city map with a red pen. "Look here," Ray said, his voice low and steady. Mark's real estate deals are all shells. He moves money through 3 dummy companies, each one tied to a councilman's office or one of his buddies. That is how he funds his schemes, bribes, gun deals, all of it. Travis leaned over the map, his eyes scanning the names and dates. "And Ashley?" he asked, his tone calm but edged with steel. Ray paused, his eyes meeting Travis squarely. "She is the link. She has been signing off on small loans and deposits in your name. She is their shield, Travis. She is the reason Mark and the councilman think they are untouchable." Travis' jaw flexed, his hands curling into fists. He forced himself to unclench them, each movement deliberate and controlled. "Then we have to cut that shield away," he said quietly. "We have to show them they are not as safe as they think." Ray nodded. "I can get you the data. Emails, text messages, bank statements. Enough to bury them. But it has to be done carefully. If they catch wind of this too soon, they will not." Travis cut in, his voice firm. "They have been sloppy because they thought I would never see it. They thought I would always be the trusting husband." Ray's lips twitched into a grim smile. "They were wrong." Travis picked up a photograph from the table, a grainy shot of Mark and Ashley at a late-night meeting, their heads bowed together in conspiratorial intimacy. He studied it for a moment, his expression unreadable. "This ends soon," he said, setting the photograph back down. "For my son. For everything they thought they could steal." The next day, Travis drove across town to an industrial warehouse, the kind of place that smelled of oil and rust and secrets. Ray had set up a meeting there with an old friend, someone who knew how to make the right people talk and the wrong people disappear. The warehouse door groaned as Travis stepped inside, his boots echoing on the cold concrete floor. A tall man in a battered leather jacket waited near the stacks of crates, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp. "Travis Collins," he said, extending a hand. "Name's Victor. Ray told me you needed someone who knows the dirt under the city." Travis shook his hand firmly. "I need information," he said simply. "Every piece of it. And I need it fast." Victor nodded, his lips twisting into a smirk. "You are not the first man to come looking for revenge, Travis. But you might be the first who actually has the patience to see it through." Travis' expression stayed calm. "This is not just about me. They tried to use my son as a pawn. That is a line they cannot cross and walk away from." Victor's smile faded. "Understood. There is a bar down in the docks. Mark meets his suppliers there. Sloppy, but he thinks no one is watching. I will get you everything he says, everything he plans." Travis nodded. "Good. And Ashley?" Victor hesitated. "She is playing both sides, but she has no idea how deep Mark's connections run. She is a risk, and she will burn with the rest of them if she does not see this coming." Travis' jaw tightened. "Then let her burn," he said softly. Victor clapped a hand on his shoulder. "I will be in touch. Keep your head clear, Marine." As Travis walked back to his truck, the cold night air bit at his skin, but he barely felt it. Each step was measured, each breath deliberate. The pieces were falling into place, and there would be no mercy when they came together. That evening, Travis sat alone in the darkened living room, the only light the faint glow from the fireplace. He stared into the flickering flames, his mind a quiet storm of resolve. Ashley was out again, her excuses thin and predictable. She thought he would be too wrapped up in his own work to notice, but Travis saw everything now. When she finally returned, her perfume filled the doorway like a warning. She smiled, soft and sweet. "Long day?" she asked, setting her purse down. "Long." Travis replied evenly, his voice calm. She walked over to the bar, pouring herself a glass of red wine. The liquid caught the light like blood, swirling as she lifted it to her lips. "You should come with me next time," she said, her tone light. "The councilman wants to meet you. He has some interesting ideas about investment." Travis leaned back in his chair, his gaze steady. "Maybe I will," he said softly. "But not tonight." She laughed, a high, bright sound that grated against his ears. "Suit yourself." When she left the room, Travis reached for the small flash drive in his jacket pocket, Victor's first delivery. He plugged it into his laptop, the screen flickering to life as files loaded one by one. Phone calls, surveillance photos, secret meetings. Proof of every dirty deal, every whispered plan. He played one recording, Mark's voice, arrogant and sure. Ashley will get the last of the money tomorrow. Once it is done, we are free. Travis' lips curved in a cold smile. Not free, he whispered to the empty room. Not anymore. He leaned back, the flickering fire casting his face in shadow. Each piece of evidence was a weapon, and he would wield them all. The first strike had begun, and there would be no warning for those who thought they had already won. The following morning, Travis watched Ashley move around the kitchen, every motion deliberate and controlled. The kind of woman who had grown too comfortable with secrets. She poured him coffee, her smile soft, eyes bright. "Did you sleep well?" she asked, her tone light and easy. Travis forced a small smile. "Well enough," he said calmly, his hands steady as he accepted the cup. She sat across from him, her posture relaxed, but Travis saw the tiny flicker in her eyes, the hesitation before each word. "The councilman wants to discuss new investments. He thinks it will be good for us, for the future." Travis tilted his head slightly, feigning interest. "He must be very persuasive," he said, watching her face carefully. Ashley's laughter was soft, sweet, but there was a tightness around her mouth. "He is smart. He knows how to make people feel secure." Travis sipped his coffee slowly, each word from her mouth confirming everything he had uncovered. "And Mark?" he asked quietly, letting her name hang in the air like a knife. Ashley blinked, her smile never faltering. "Mark? Oh, he is just helping with the paperwork. Nothing more." For a moment, their eyes met, her bright and deceptive, his calm and unblinking. She thought she still had the upper hand. She thought she could spin her lies around him like silk. He rose from the table, setting the cup down with care. "I have work to do," he said softly. She reached for his hand, her touch feather-light. "You know I love you, Travis," she whispered, her voice low and sweet. He met her gaze steadily, his voice a quiet promise. "I know," he said, "and I know everything else too." Her smile faltered, just for a second, but it was enough. Travis saw it, that tiny crack in her facade, and he knew that soon it would shatter completely. Later that night, Travis found Ethan sitting on the edge of his bed, the boy's face pale and drawn in the soft lamplight. His schoolbooks lay forgotten beside him, his hands twisting nervously. "Dad," he said in a low voice as Travis stepped inside. "I cannot sleep." Travis sat beside him, resting a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Tell me what is on your mind." Ethan looked down, his fingers fidgeting. "I heard Mom on the phone again. She was talking to Mark. She said I would not even remember what happened. Like I was just a piece of the plan." Travis' jaw tightened, but he kept his voice calm. "She is trying to use you, Ethan, but I will not let her. You have to trust me." Ethan looked up, his eyes wide and glistening. "I do trust you. I do not understand how she could do this. How can a mother?" Travis took a slow breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "Sometimes people lose themselves, son. They start thinking about money, power, and they forget who they are supposed to protect." Ethan swallowed hard, his voice small. "What are you going to do?" Travis squeezed his shoulder gently. "I am going to make sure they cannot touch you. I am going to show them that we are not pieces on their board." Ethan nodded slowly, his lips pressed into a thin line. "I want to help," he whispered. Travis looked at his son, seeing not a boy but a young man with the same quiet strength he had carried into battle. "You already are helping," he said softly. "By staying strong, by telling me what you hear, that is enough." Ethan nodded again, the faintest smile flickering across his face. Travis stood, his hand lingering on his son's shoulder. "Rest now," he said. "We will face this together." In the early hours of the morning, Travis sat at his desk, the glow of his laptop screen throwing harsh light across his face. He scrolled through the files Victor had delivered, each document a nail in the coffin of Ashley's conspiracy. Bank statements flickered across the screen, numbered accounts, offshore transfers, shell companies with names as empty as their promises. He pieced it together, line by line, his mind a steel trap. Every dollar, every lie. It was all there. He paused at a scanned email, Ashley's signature neat and precise at the bottom of the page. The words were clinical, cold, a transaction of betrayal wrapped in polite formality. She had signed off on deals that would have destroyed their family, deals that tied her to Mark and the councilman's network. Travis leaned back, his breath steady, eyes clear. This was not just about an affair. It was about theft, about using his name and his son's future as currency. And it would not stand. He picked up his phone, dialing Ray. "I have everything," he said when his friend answered. "Every piece of it. The money, the names, the dates." Ray's voice was calm, resolute. "Then we are ready for the next step." Travis nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving the screen. "We are. And when it all comes down, they will have nowhere to hide." He hung up and closed the laptop gently, his reflection in the dark screen staring back at him. This was the moment he had trained for his entire life. Not a shot fired in a distant war, but a quiet, methodical battle at home. He rose from the chair, his movements calm and certain. There would be no more waiting, no more lies. The reckoning was coming, and Travis would be its architect. Travis woke before dawn, the weight of his plan coiled tight in his chest. He moved through the quiet house with the precision of a soldier, checking every detail, every angle of his strategy. The walls of the study were covered in maps and names, a silent testament to the betrayal he was about to expose. He had waited long enough. Now it was time to act. He met Ray at a discreet warehouse on the edge of town. The metal door creaked as Travis stepped inside, the cold air thick with the scent of oil and dust. Ray was already there, his laptop open on a folding table. "I have traced every account," Ray said, his voice steady. "They have been sloppy. Offshore shells, dirty money, and Ashley's name is on every one of them." Travis nodded, his expression calm, his eyes like steel. "Good. Now we use it." Ray handed him a slim USB drive. "This is everything. Mark's deals, the councilman's payoff, Ashley's emails. Once you put this in their system, it will trigger an alert with the federal agents we have lined up. They will see everything in real time." Travis took the drive, feeling the weight of it in his palm. "They will not see it coming." Ray's eyes met his. "Be careful, Travis. If they catch even a hint of this, they will not," Travis said softly. "They think I am still the trusting husband. They think I am still in the dark." He slipped the drive into his jacket pocket and turned to leave, every step deliberate, his mind clear and focused. The trap was set. All that was left was to watch them walk right into it. As he drove home, the city lay quiet around him, streetlights flickering like beacons in the fog. In that stillness, he felt no fear, only purpose. They had made a mistake when they chose to drag his son into their web. Now they would learn the cost of crossing a Marine. That evening, Travis arrived at the grand corporate fundraiser, the towering glass building alive with music and laughter. The lobby was a forest of marble and crystal, the kind of place where the powerful came to be seen and to hide their secrets in plain sight. Ashley was already there, her smile radiant as she charmed a circle of businessmen. She wore a shimmering silver dress that caught the light with every step, a vision of elegance and betrayal. Travis moved through the crowd with calm precision, his tailored suit fitting him like armor. Every handshake, every polite nod, he played his part to perfection. But beneath the calm facade, his mind was a sniper's focus, each moment another opportunity to bring them down. Mark appeared near the bar, his laughter too loud, his eyes scanning the room like a predator. He leaned close to the councilman, their heads bent together in hushed conversation. Travis watched them for a moment, every detail burned into his mind. He approached slowly, his steps measured. "Mark," he said evenly as he reached the bar. Mark turned, his smile thin and insincere. "Travis," he said smoothly, "I was hoping you would come tonight." Travis forced a polite smile. "I would not miss it," he said, his tone calm and easy. "After all, it is important to see who we are really doing business with." Mark's eyes flickered at that, just for a moment. But then he laughed, clapping Travis on the shoulder. "You are always so direct, my friend." Ashley appeared at his side, her hand sliding around Travis' arm like silk. "Let us not talk business tonight," she said, her voice warm and sweet. "Let us just enjoy ourselves." Travis looked at her, his face an unreadable mask. "Of course," he said softly. "Tonight is for celebration." But in his pocket, the USB drive burned like a live round. And he knew the real celebration would come when their lies finally collapsed. As the night wore on, Travis moved through the crowd like a ghost, each interaction another piece of his silent war. The music pulsed through the lobby, glasses clinked, and laughter rang out. But Travis heard only the lies, the whispered deals that had built this empire of deceit. He slipped away to a quiet corner, his eyes scanning the room. Ray's voice crackled in his earpiece. "We are in position. The federal agents are watching the data feed now. Once you plug in that drive, it will trigger the whole operation." Travis' breath was slow and steady. "Understood." He moved through the hallway to the councilman's private office, the door guarded only by the illusion of respectability. He paused, every sense sharp and focused, then slipped inside. The office was sleek and expensive, all dark wood and polished glass. Travis moved to the computer at the desk, pulling the USB drive from his pocket. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, the weight of the moment settling around him like a shroud. He pressed the drive in. The soft click of the connection felt like the final shot in a silent war. The screen flickered, files opening in rapid succession. Mark's dirty deals, the councilman's kickbacks, Ashley's secret betrayals. Every hidden sin laid bare in digital black and white. Travis stepped back, his heart steady. He could almost see it, the lies unraveling in real time, the empire of corruption cracking at the seams. He left the office as quietly as he had entered, the music and laughter of the gala washing over him like a tide he no longer had to fight. In the crowd, he caught Ashley's eye across the room, her smile still bright, still so sure. Travis let a small smile touch his lips. "Let them enjoy their night," he murmured. "Tomorrow, the truth will be the only music they hear." The next morning, Travis sat in his study, the laptop open in front of him. The footage he had triggered at the gala played in a slow, deliberate loop, each frame another piece of the betrayal he had uncovered. Ashley's voice was soft, almost tender in the recording. "Mark, you have to promise me. Once we have the money, we are gone. He can never know. He can never see what we have done." Mark's response was a low murmur, a promise wrapped in poison. "He will never see it, Ashley. He is too blinded by love to understand." Travis' jaw clenched, but his face remained calm. He leaned closer to the screen, his breath steady. "I understand now," he whispered. "I see everything." He copied the files to a second drive, each click of the mouse deliberate. This was the evidence that would bring them down, the proof that Ashley and Mark had used his name, his family, as a shield for their crimes. As he worked, the door creaked open. Ethan stepped inside, his eyes wide and uncertain. "Dad," he said softly, Are you okay?" Travis looked at his son, his expression softening. "I am better than okay, son. I am ready." Ethan moved closer, his voice trembling. "I heard Mom talking again. She said they would be gone by the end of the week." Travis' eyes narrowed, his voice calm. "Then they have already lost." Ethan swallowed hard. "What do we do now?" Travis closed the laptop gently, his movements precise. "Now we finish it. No more lies. No more running." Ethan nodded, a quiet strength in his eyes. "I am with you, Dad." Travis reached out, gripping his son's shoulder firmly. "That is all I need to hear." Later that night, the house was thick with a tension that settled into every corner. Ashley moved through the rooms like a queen in her kingdom, her smile soft, her laughter sweet, But Travis saw it all. The glances at her phone, the brief silences when she thought he was not watching. At dinner, she sat across from him, her fork tapping lightly against her plate. "You seem quiet tonight," she said, her voice gentle. Travis met her gaze calmly. "Just thinking," he said, "about how quickly things can change." She tilted her head, her smile unwavering. "Change can be good," she said softly, "if you let it be." Travis forced a small smile, though it never touched his eyes. Sometimes change is the only way to see the truth. Ashley's fingers stilled on the table, a flicker of something. Fear, maybe, passing through her eyes. "Is there something you want to talk about?" Travis leaned back in his chair, his posture relaxed. "Not tonight," he said quietly. "Tonight, I just want to enjoy dinner with my family." Ashley hesitated, her lips parting as if to protest. But then she laughed, that bright, brittle sound that had once charmed him. "Of course," she said. "Let us just enjoy." Ethan watched them both from the end of the table, his eyes wide and wary. Travis met his gaze for a moment, the silent promise between them stronger than any spoken word. After dinner, Travis cleaned the dishes alone, his movements slow and deliberate. In the quiet, he let the fury settle into calm resolve. The pieces were in place. The trap was set. He glanced down the hallway, where Ashley stood at the doorway to their bedroom, her eyes shadowed in the dim light. She did not know that the world she had built on lies was already crumbling. Travis dried his hands, his voice a whisper only he could hear. "Tomorrow, the truth will speak for itself." The following day, Travis found Ethan in the garage, the boy's hands buried in an old toolbox, the scent of oil and metal sharp in the air. "Dad," Ethan said, looking up, "I wanted to help you. I cannot just sit around anymore." Travis walked over, resting a hand on his son's shoulder. "You already are helping, Ethan, just by being strong." Ethan shook his head, his voice low and determined. "I heard Mom again. She thinks you will never fight back. She thinks she can just walk away like nothing happened." Travis' eyes hardened, his voice calm. "She is wrong." Ethan looked up, his jaw set. "Then let me help. I know her. I know how she talks, how she lies. If there is anything I can do." Travis' heart tightened at the raw strength in his son's voice. He saw the boy he had raised, but he also saw the man he was becoming. "I will keep you out of this as much as I can," he said softly. "But your voice matters. If there is something you see, something you hear, you tell me. That is how you help me, Ethan." Ethan nodded, his hands curling into fists. "I will. I promise." Travis squeezed his shoulder, pride and pain warring in his chest. "That is all I need, son. Just stay strong. We are almost there." He turned back to the toolbox, his mind already moving ahead, each thought a calculated step. The councilman's gala was only days away, the final stage for everything he had worked to expose. He glanced at Ethan, his voice quiet but sure. "We are going to end this, Ethan. And when it is over, we will be free." Ethan's eyes shone with fierce pride. "I know, Dad. I believe you." 2 days later, Travis stood at the kitchen window, the morning sun slanting across the countertops in warm gold. Ashley moved through the room, her voice bright, her smile practiced. She poured fresh orange juice, her earrings catching the light with every movement. "Travis," she said sweetly, setting the glass before him, "the councilman is hosting another gala. He specifically asked for you to be there." Travis lifted his gaze to her, his expression calm. "Is that so?" he asked evenly. She nodded, her lips curling into a smile that did not reach her eyes. "He thinks it would be good for appearances. You know, make everything look normal." Travis leaned back in his chair, his hands folded carefully on the table. "Normal," he repeated softly, the word tasting like ash. Ashley's eyes flickered, but she kept her smile in place. "Yes, just a night to relax, to show everyone that everything is as it should be." Travis forced a small smile. "Then, of course, we should give them what they want." Ashley let out a soft laugh, relief shining in her eyes. "Wonderful. I will make sure everything is perfect. As she moved away, Travis watched her carefully. Every detail burned into his mind. The flicker in her eyes when she thought he was not looking. The way her hand trembled for the briefest second before she smoothed her hair. She thought this night would be her triumph. The final mask she would wear before slipping away with everything she had stolen. But Travis was already crafting his own final act. He rose from the table, moving to the window. Outside, the wind stirred the trees, the world calm and bright. In that stillness, he felt the weight of the moment settle into place. The invitation was their challenge. The gala would be their stage. And Travis, he would be their reckoning. The night before the gala, Travis sat in the darkened study, his laptop open in front of him. The files Victor had delivered sprawled across the screen. Names, numbers, connections deeper than he had imagined. His phone buzzed, a single message lighting the screen. There is something else. Urgent. Meet me at the docks. Ray. Travis' pulse quickened. He rose quickly, slipping into his jacket, every movement calm and controlled. Outside, the night was cool and sharp, the streetlights slicing through the darkness like blades. The docks were deserted when he arrived, the water lapping softly against the worn wooden pylons. Ray waited by an old warehouse door, his expression grave in the dim light. "What is it?" Travis asked quietly, his eyes scanning the shadows. Ray's voice was low. "There is another piece, Travis. One we did not see." He handed Travis a small device, an audio recorder. Travis pressed play, and Mark's voice filled the air, rough and urgent. "The federal agent is in on it. He is taking a cut to keep it quiet. Ashley thinks she is using him, but he is using her too." Travis' heart pounded, but his face stayed calm. "The agent, he is part of it," he said slowly. Ray nodded, his eyes hard. "This is not just a betrayal of you or your family. This is a betrayal of the law itself. If you expose them, you will be tearing down something much bigger than their affair." Travis exhaled slowly, the weight of it settling around him like iron. "Then we expose it all," he said softly. "No matter how deep it goes." Ray met his gaze, his expression somber. "This changes everything, Travis. Be ready." Travis nodded once, his mind a cold, focused storm. "I have been ready," he said. "Let them think they have won. Tomorrow, the truth will burn them all." The day of the gala arrived in a rush of cold rain and muted light. Travis stood in front of the bedroom mirror, his reflection calm and composed in his tailored suit. Every button, every cufflink was a soldier in the silent war he was about to wage. Ashley stepped into the doorway, her dress a shimmering sea of midnight blue, her smile soft and bright. "You look perfect," she said, her voice gentle. "Just perfect." Travis turned to her, his eyes steady. "And you?" he said evenly, his tone calm but unreadable. She moved closer, resting a hand on his chest. "Tonight will be special," she whispered. "Everything will finally be right." He let her fingers linger there for a moment, his face calm. "Yes," he said quietly. "Tonight will be the end of everything that should never have been." As they drove to the gala, the city lights blurred against the rain-slicked streets. Inside the car, Ashley hummed softly, her hand resting on his arm like they were still the perfect couple. But Travis felt only the steady beat of his pulse, each thud a promise of what was to come. At the entrance to the grand hall, they stepped out into the glow of cameras and laughter, the illusion of glamour and power wrapped around them like a cloak. Ashley smiled at the photographers, her laughter bright, her hand gripping his arm just a little too tight. Travis scanned the crowd, his eyes calm and cold. Mark was there, laughing with the councilman, his arrogance shining in every gesture. And beyond them, the federal agent, the one who thought he was untouchable. Travis took a slow breath, his expression smooth as glass. This was no longer just about personal betrayal. It was about exposing the rot at the heart of everything. And tonight, every secret would be dragged into the light. Inside the grand hall, music swelled in the air, soft jazz notes weaving through the clink of crystal glasses and polite laughter. Travis moved through the crowd with quiet precision, every step measured, every glance deliberate. Ashley was at his side, her hand resting lightly on his arm, the perfect wife in a room of polished masks. Mark stood across the room, his posture relaxed, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He laughed too easily, his eyes flicking over the crowd like a predator surveying his territory. The councilman stood beside him, his tailored suit impeccable, his smile all charm and calculation. Travis felt the weight of the USB drive in his inner pocket, the silent promise of retribution. He scanned the crowd for Ray, catching the faintest nod from the far corner of the room. Ray's eyes were steady, his presence a quiet anchor in the shifting sea of deception. Ashley leaned closer, her perfume a soft cloud that meant nothing to him now. "Are you enjoying yourself?" she asked, her voice sweet. Travis turned to her, his expression calm. "Very much," he said quietly. "I always enjoy watching the truth rise to the surface." Her smile wavered for a moment, a flicker of something she could not hide. But she quickly recovered, her laugh bright and practiced. "You always did have a way with words," she said. Travis let his gaze drift past her, his mind focused on the task ahead. The federal agent was near the bar, speaking in low tones with a group of men who thought they were invincible. He had played his part well, but tonight, the game was over. As the music swelled, Travis' heartbeat steadied. This was the calm before the storm, the moment when every lie hung heavy in the air, waiting for the final blow. As the evening wore on, the facade began to slip. Travis watched Ashley from across the room as she laughed and charmed, her eyes bright, but her smile strained. She moved from group to group, her laughter just a touch too high, her movements a fraction too controlled. She caught his eye across the dance floor, her expression tightening for just a moment. Travis held her gaze, his face unreadable. He saw the flicker of panic there, the first crack in the mask she had worn so well. Mark appeared beside her, his hand resting casually on her waist. They exchanged a few words, too low to hear, but Travis saw the tension in Ashley's shoulders, the way her fingers curled into her clutch. Mark leaned in close, his lips brushing her ear, his smile confident. Travis felt no anger, only a cold certainty. Let them think they still had control. Tonight would prove how wrong they were. He moved through the crowd to the bar, his presence calm, his eyes sharp. The federal agent was there, his laugh too smooth, his handshake too quick. Travis watched him carefully, noting every nervous glance, every subtle shift. Ashley joined him a moment later, her hand slipping into the crook of his arm. "You seem so quiet tonight," she said, her voice low. Travis turned to her, his tone even. "I am just taking it all in," he said softly. "Every word, every secret." She forced a laugh, her fingers tightening on his sleeve. "You always were too observant," she said, her voice wavering just a little. Travis leaned closer, his breath soft against her ear. "That is what makes me dangerous," he said quietly. "You should remember that." She pulled back, her smile brittle. But she said nothing, because she knew it was already too late. Travis slipped away from the dance floor as the night reached its peak, the music rising in a crescendo that masked the tension simmering beneath the glittering facade. He moved with purpose through the hallway, each step echoing like a promise in the polished marble corridor. He reached the councilman's private office, the door ajar, the soft glow of the desk lamp spilling across the threshold. Travis stepped inside, the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders like a familiar cloak. He pulled the USB drive from his pocket, his fingers steady as he slipped it into the waiting port on the sleek computer. The screen flickered to life, files opening one by one. The dirty deals, the hidden bank accounts, the stolen future they had built on his name. Each click of the mouse was a hammer blow against the house of lies they had crafted. He watched the data stream across the screen, the lines of numbers and names turning their secrets into weapons. In that moment, he felt no fear, only the quiet satisfaction of a mission nearly complete. He turned to the security camera in the corner of the office, his expression calm. "It is done," he said softly, knowing Ray would be watching from the control room. "Let them see what they have built, and let them watch it burn." As he stepped back into the hall, he felt the first ripple of chaos. Mark's laughter had turned sharp, his voice rising in argument with the councilman. Ashley's smile had vanished, her face pale, her eyes wide as the walls began to close in. Travis walked back into the room, the music and laughter crashing around him like a wave he had already conquered. Ashley's gaze locked with his across the room, a silent plea he would no longer hear. Tonight, the truth was no longer hidden, and for the first time in years, Travis felt the weight of the lies lifting from his shoulders. The reckoning had begun. The music in the grand hall was still playing, but the laughter had turned hollow, the conversations edged with unease. Travis stood at the edge of the dance floor, his gaze steady as he watched the ripples of confusion spread through the crowd. Ashley moved among them, her smile brittle, her movements quick and tense. She kept glancing over her shoulder, her eyes searching for Travis, but he stayed in the shadows, letting the weight of her fear settle around her like a shroud. Mark's face had turned pale, his confident swagger replaced by tight-lipped whispers with the councilman. Their heads bent together, voices low, but Travis could read the panic in every gesture. He saw the federal agent too, his composure cracking at the edges as he checked his phone again and again, sweat beading on his forehead. He knew the house of cards was crumbling, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Ashley finally found Travis near the bar, her voice tight with forced calm. "Travis, we need to leave," she said, her fingers gripping his arm like a lifeline. "Now." He turned to her slowly, his expression calm, his voice even. "Why would we leave? The night is just getting interesting." Her eyes darted around the room, her breath quickening. "You do not understand. Things are complicated." Travis leaned closer, his words soft but edged with steel. "Oh, I understand perfectly. I understand everything." Ashley's face went pale, her fingers trembling against his arm. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. For the first time, she saw the truth in his eyes, the quiet fury, the calm resolve. And she realized that the man she thought she could control was gone. The music kept playing, but the night had shifted. The unraveling had begun. The moment of truth arrived like a storm. The federal agent stepped forward, his voice sharp, trying to regain control. "Everyone needs to remain calm," he said, his tone loud enough to carry over the music. "There has been a misunderstanding." Travis moved closer, his steps deliberate. "A misunderstanding," he said quietly, his voice carrying in the sudden hush. "Is that what you call betrayal and corruption?" The crowd turned, eyes wide, the tension crackling like lightning. Ashley stood frozen beside him, her breath coming in shallow gasps. Mark's face twisted into a sneer. "You think you can stand here and accuse us, Travis? You have no idea what you are talking about." Travis turned to him, his voice cold and precise. "I know everything, Mark. Every deal, every lie. I have the proof, and it is already in the hands of the people who will tear your empire apart." The councilman stepped forward, his face red with anger. "This is ridiculous. You have no right." Travis' gaze locked onto his, unflinching. "I have every right. You used my name. You used my son. And tonight, everyone will see what you really are." Ashley's voice broke through, high and shaking. "Travis, please." He turned to her, his eyes steady. "You chose your side, Ashley. You chose this. And now you will watch it all fall apart." The silence that followed was thick, every eye in the room locked on them. The federal agent's phone buzzed in his hand, the final nail in the coffin. His face went ashen as he read the message. The investigation was already in motion. Travis straightened his jacket, his voice calm. "You thought I would stay silent. You thought I would look the other way. But you were wrong." The room seemed to hold its breath, the weight of the truth pressing down on every soul present. And in that moment, the lies shattered. Ashley's breath came in short, shallow gasps, her hands shaking at her sides. The perfect wife, The careful mask she had worn for so long was crumbling in the harsh light of exposure. "You do not understand, Travis," she said, her voice low and desperate. "I did it for us. For our future." Travis' eyes stayed cold, his tone measured. "You did it for yourself. You chose Mark. You chose the money. And you chose to use our son as a pawn in your game." She reached for him, her fingers brushing his sleeve. "I never meant to hurt you." He stepped back, his movements calm but final. "You did more than hurt me, Ashley. You tried to destroy everything I believed in. And tonight, you will face the consequences of your choices." The federal agent stepped forward, his voice quiet. "This is over, Ashley. The investigation is already underway. You will answer for what you have done." Her face crumpled, tears streaking down her flawless makeup. "Travis, please." But there was no more plea that could save her. The crowd watched in silence, the weight of the moment sinking in. Mark turned away, his face a mask of rage and fear. The councilman was already on his phone, his voice low and urgent, but there was nowhere to hide. Travis looked at Ashley one last time, his voice low and final. "You made your choices, Ashley. Now you live with them." She sank into a chair, her head bowed, her shoulders trembling. The music still played in the background, a soft, haunting echo of a night that had turned to ruin. Travis turned away, his steps sure and steady. For the first time in a long time, he felt the weight lift from his chest. The truth had been spoken, and there would be no turning back. As the crowd's whispers faded into a stunned silence, Travis turned away from the wreckage of deceit, his shoulders squared, his steps steady. The soft glow of the chandeliers painted the walls with light, but to him, it felt like dawn. The darkness was finally lifting. Ethan appeared at the edge of the hall, his eyes wide, his face pale but resolute. Travis crossed the distance to him, his presence calm and sure. He placed his hands on Ethan's shoulders, steady and protective. "Dad," Ethan said, his voice a shaky whisper. "Is it really over?" Travis met his son's eyes, his tone quiet but unwavering. "It is over, son. They cannot hurt us anymore." Ethan nodded slowly, his jaw tightening. I never thought Mom would." Travis shook his head gently. "She lost herself in their lies. But we will not. We will stand stronger than ever." Ethan's eyes shone with unshed tears, but he blinked them away, his voice trembling. "What happens now?" Travis took a slow breath, each word a promise. "Now we rebuild. We start fresh, just you and me. We will make a life that is honest, a life they cannot touch." For a moment, they stood there in the quiet corner of the hall, a father and a son, the weight of betrayal behind them, the path ahead clear. Travis felt the years of doubt and pain begin to ease, replaced by a new strength he had not known he still possessed. He gave Ethan's shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "Come on," he said, his voice steady. "We are done with their games." And together, they walked out of that hall of lies, the future theirs to claim. Outside, the air was cool and crisp, the night sky clear. Travis felt the weight of the evening's events settle into a quiet, resolute calm. The fight was over, but the consequences had only just begun. Ray stood near the entrance, his expression a rare mix of pride and relief. "It is done," he said, his voice low. "They have nowhere left to run." Travis nodded, his jaw set. "They thought they could use my son's name as a shield. They thought I would never see it. But they underestimated me. They underestimated all of us." Ray's eyes were hard, his voice firm. "You did what no one else would have had the patience or the strength to do, Travis. You exposed every last secret." A police cruiser pulled up at the curb, its flashing lights a quiet warning of what was coming. Mark was escorted from the building, his face pale and tight, his hands bound behind his back. Ashley followed moments later, her head bowed, her shoulders slumped in defeat. The councilman was next, his face red with fury, but his words fell on deaf ears. The federal agent was let out last, his calm facade cracked and broken. Travis watched them all, his expression calm. No anger, No triumph. Just the quiet certainty of a man who had fought for the truth and won. Ethan stood at his side, his hand gripping Travis tightly. "You did it, Dad," he said, his voice quiet but strong. "You really did it." Travis looked down at his son, a small, proud smile breaking across his face. "We did it together, Ethan." The flashing lights of the cruiser faded into the distance, the night quiet once more. The chapter of lies and betrayal had ended, and in the silence that followed, Travis felt the first breath of freedom. In the days that followed, the house that had once been a prison of lies grew quiet and still. The news spread quickly. Headlines spoke of corruption and fraud, of secret deals and betrayal laid bare. But in that quiet home, Travis and Ethan found a new rhythm. Travis spent his mornings in the old garage, the scent of oil and steel filling the air as he worked on his truck. Each turn of the wrench felt like a piece of his life put back together, a slow but steady healing. Ethan would sit nearby, his homework spread out across the workbench, his voice calm and certain as he asked questions about math and life. The bond between them had never been stronger, built on the ashes of betrayal, forged in the fire of truth. One afternoon, Travis paused his work, wiping sweat from his brow. He looked at his son, his voice quiet. "How are you holding up?" Ethan met his gaze, a small smile on his lips. "Better than I thought I would," he said. "I feel like we are finally free." Travis nodded, his chest tightening with pride. "We are, and we always will be." They sat in the soft glow of the setting sun, the golden light filling the garage with warmth. In that quiet, Travis felt the weight of the past lift from his shoulders. The lies were gone. The house was theirs again. No more secrets, no more shadows. And in that simple moment, Travis realized the truth he had fought so hard to protect. That strength was not in the quiet fury of revenge, but in the gentle moments of love and trust that came after. A new dawn had come, and this time, it was theirs to keep. Days after the arrests, Travis sat on the back porch, the sun warm on his face as he watched Ethan kick a soccer ball across the yard. The laughter of his son was like music, a sound he had feared he would never hear without shadows clinging to it. But the calm was interrupted by the crunch of tires on gravel. Travis turned as an old black sedan pulled up, the figure that stepped out stirring memories he had tried to leave behind. Victor. The man moved with the same easy confidence, his jacket hanging open, his eyes sharp as ever. "Travis," he said, his voice low. "I heard what happened." Travis nodded, his expression calm. "It is over, Victor. The lies, the games, they are done." Victor let out a low whistle, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "You did what most men would never dare. I just came to see it for myself." Travis tilted his head slightly. "Why? What do you want from me now?" Victor shrugged. "Nothing. Just respect for a man who fought back when the world told him to bow down." He glanced over at Ethan, his eyes softening just a little. "You protected him. That matters." Travis followed his gaze, the quiet pride in his chest matched only by the relief that Victor understood. "It does matter," he said. "It is the only thing that ever did." Victor stepped closer, his voice lowering. "If you ever need me again, you know where to find me." Travis offered a small, genuine smile. "Thank you, but I think we are done with shadows." Victor nodded once, his eyes steady. "Then live in the light, Marine." As he drove away, Travis felt a quiet sense of closure settle over him. The past was behind him, and what lay ahead was finally his to build. The following morning, Travis woke early, the air cool and fresh with the scent of dew. He moved through the house with a sense of quiet purpose, every room now free of the weight of lies and betrayal. In the kitchen, he brewed fresh coffee, the rich scent filling the air like a promise. Ethan joined him a moment later, still in his pajamas, his hair tousled with sleep. "Morning, Dad," he said, his voice soft but bright. Travis smiled, handing him a glass of orange juice. "Morning, son. How did you sleep?" Ethan shrugged, a grin flickering across his face. "Better. I do not feel scared anymore. Travis' chest tightened, his voice low and certain. You have nothing to fear now. This house, this life, it is ours again. They sat at the table together, the sun streaming through the window, warming their faces. For a moment, there were no shadows, no ghosts of the past, only the simple comfort of a father and son who had weathered the storm. Later, Travis drove Ethan to school, the radio playing softly, the world outside bright and new. Ethan turned to him as they pulled up, his voice quiet. Dad, thank you. For everything. Travis looked at him, his eyes warm. You do not ever have to thank me for protecting you, Ethan. It is my job. It is my promise. Ethan nodded, his smile shy but proud. I know. As he watched his son walk into the school, head held high, Travis felt the quiet peace of knowing he had reclaimed what mattered most. The future was theirs again, and this time, it would be built on truth. That evening, Travis sat at the old wooden desk in his study, the soft lamplight painting the room in gentle gold. In front of him lay a single sheet of paper, his pen poised above it. He had been thinking for days about what to write, about how to put into words the journey that had brought him here. And finally, the words came, steady and sure. He wrote to Ashley, not as a husband, but as a man who had walked through betrayal and emerged stronger. Ashley, he began, the ink flowing smooth and even. I have no anger left in my heart, only the quiet certainty that our paths have ended. You chose your lies, your greed, and I chose my son. He paused, his breath steady as he continued. I wish you no harm, but you must understand that your choices have consequences. Ethan and I will move forward, free of your shadows. He signed his name carefully, each letter deliberate, a quiet exclamation of finality. Travis folded the letter and set it aside, feeling the weight of it lift from his chest. This was not a plea or a declaration. It was simply the end. And in that end, he found peace. He leaned back in his chair, his eyes closing for a moment. The past was no longer his to carry. The future was his to shape. On a quiet Sunday morning, Travis and Ethan stood in the backyard, the sun climbing higher with every breath of warm air. Travis watched as his son set up a small wooden target at the edge of the yard, his face focused and determined. Ready, Dad? Ethan asked, holding the soccer ball under one arm. Travis nodded, his lips curling into a small smile. Always. Ethan took a step back, balancing the ball carefully before sending it sailing across the grass with a powerful kick. It smacked into the target with a satisfying thud, sending it toppling to the ground. Travis laughed, the sound rich and real. Nice shot. Ethan grinned, his eyes bright. Think you can beat that? Travis picked up the ball, his movements smooth and sure. I have been known to surprise you, kid. He kicked the ball clean and true, the impact ringing out across the yard. The target wobbled, then crashed down, and Ethan cheered. They laughed together, the sound echoing in the warm morning air. No more secrets, no more lies, just the simple joy of a father and son, rebuilding their lives one honest moment at a time. As they picked up the fallen target, Travis felt a deep, quiet strength settle in his chest. He looked at Ethan, his voice calm and sure. Whatever comes next, we face it together. That is what matters. Ethan nodded, his smile unwavering. Together, Dad. And in that promise, Travis found the final piece of his healing. The knowledge that no matter how dark the past had been, the light of the present was stronger. A week later, Travis found himself at the edge of the woods behind his house, the tall pines standing like sentinels in the quiet morning light. The earth smelled clean, the scent of moss and pine sap filling his lungs with every slow breath. He had come here often as a boy, the woods a sanctuary when life felt too heavy. And now, as a man, he felt that same quiet peace settle in his chest, the sense that even in the wake of betrayal, there was still a place for healing. Ethan joined him, the boy's steps careful as he picked his way across the tangled roots. Dad, he said, his voice soft in the stillness. Why do you like it out here so much? Travis looked at him, a small smile touching his lips. Because it is honest, he said simply. The trees, the earth, they do not hide anything. They stand tall, no matter the storm. Ethan nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. I like that, he said. It feels safe. Travis ruffled his hair, his touch gentle. It is, and it will always be here for us. They walked in silence for a while, the crunch of pine needles beneath their feet the only sound. Travis felt the memories of the past week drifting away, replaced by the simple rhythm of the forest, the quiet breath of the earth, the soft rustle of leaves. In that stillness, he found a kind of peace he had almost forgotten. The lies were gone. The fear was gone. All that remained was this, a father and son, free and unbroken. As they turned back toward home, Travis looked at Ethan, his voice calm and sure. Whatever happens, remember this place, Ethan. Remember what it feels like to stand strong, no matter what. Ethan smiled, his eyes bright. I will, Dad. I promise. That evening, Travis sat on the porch steps, the sky above streaked with the colors of sunset. The last light of the day painted the world in soft gold and rose, and he felt the quiet promise of a new beginning in every breath. Ashley appeared at the edge of the yard, her movements tentative, her shoulders hunched. Travis watched her silently, his expression calm but distant. Travis, she said softly, her voice carrying across the warm air. I needed to see you. Just one last time. He did not move, his tone even. What do you want, Ashley? She stepped closer, her hands twisting in front of her. I wanted to say I am sorry. For everything. Travis studied her, the weight of the past heavy in his gaze. You are sorry because you were caught, he said quietly. But you are not sorry for what you did. Ashley flinched, tears welling in her eyes. I thought I was doing what was best. For all of us. Travis shook his head slowly. No, you were doing what was best for yourself. She reached out, her fingers trembling. Travis, please. He stood, his posture calm but unyielding. Ashley, there is nothing left to say. I have made peace with what happened, but you need to make peace with what you did. Ashley's shoulders shook as she nodded, silent tears slipping down her cheeks. I will. For a moment, they stood there in the fading light, the space between them filled with all the words that would never be spoken. Finally, Ashley turned away, her steps slow and uncertain. Travis watched her go, the quiet surety in his heart stronger than any anger or grief. He sat back down, the sun dipping below the horizon, and felt the final threads of their past unravel and fade away. The next morning, Travis woke early, the world outside still soft with the promise of dawn. He moved through the house quietly, each step deliberate, each breath calm. In the kitchen, he found Ethan sitting at the table, his hands wrapped around a steaming mug of cocoa. The boy looked up, his smile small but real. Morning, Dad. Morning, son, Travis said, his voice warm. He poured himself a cup of coffee and sat across from Ethan, the silence between them comfortable. For a while, they just sat together, the quiet morning light filling the room. Then Ethan spoke, his voice low. Do you think it will ever feel normal again? Travis took a slow sip of his coffee, his eyes steady. Normal is what we make it, Ethan. It does not come from anyone else. It comes from us. Ethan nodded, his fingers tracing patterns in the steam. I wanted to feel normal. I wanted to feel safe. Travis reached across the table, his hand resting on his son's. It will. I promise you, Ethan. I will always protect you. I will always fight for you. Ethan looked at him, his eyes clear and strong. I believe you, Dad. Travis smiled, his heart swelling with pride. That is all I need to hear. The sun rose higher, its light growing brighter, and in that warm kitchen, Travis felt the final pieces of their new life settle into place. There would be challenges, he knew. There would be days when the shadows tried to creep back in. But he also knew this. They were stronger now. Together, they were unbreakable. That afternoon, Travis and Ethan drove into town, the small shops and quiet streets welcoming in their familiarity. The scent of fresh bread wafted from the bakery, the gentle murmur of neighbors greeting one another filling the air. They stopped at the hardware store, the bell above the door chiming softly as they stepped inside. The old wooden floorboards creaked beneath their feet, the air rich with the scent of cedar and paint. "Can I help you find something, Travis?" the owner asked, his tone warm and familiar. Travis smiled, his posture easy. "Just some paint today," he said. "Time to start fresh." Ethan wandered the aisles, his eyes bright with curiosity. "What color, Dad?" Travis thought for a moment, his smile deepening. "Something bright. Something that says this is our home." They chose a soft blue, the color of summer skies, and carried it to the truck, the can clinking softly with every step. As they drove back, Ethan leaned against the window, his voice soft. "It feels different now, like everything is new." Travis reached over, resting his hand on his son's shoulder. "Because it is, Ethan. We are not just fixing walls and floors. We are fixing what matters most." Ethan turned to him, his smile wide and sure. "I am glad we are doing it together." Travis looked at his son, the future bright in his eyes. "Me too, son. Me too." And as they drove home under the clear sky, Travis felt the quiet promise of that fresh paint, the symbol of all they had overcome and all they were building now. Back home, the air was warm and calm, the late afternoon sun turning the windows into gold-framed mirrors. Travis moved through the house with steady steps, pausing at the door of the small room that had once been Ashley's office. He pushed it open slowly, the hinges creaking in the quiet. Dust motes swirled in the sunlight that streamed through the window, and Travis took a slow breath, letting the memories come and go. Ethan joined him, his voice low. "Do you want me to help?" Travis nodded, his expression calm. "Yes. Let us clear it out, start new." They worked together in silence, box by box, removing the last traces of Ashley's plans and secrets. The shelves that had once been filled with financial ledgers and hidden letters were emptied, the air lighter with every cardboard box they carried to the truck. Travis ran his fingers over the empty shelves, the wood smooth beneath his calloused palm. "No more secrets," he said softly. "No more lies." Ethan looked up, his face bright. "What will we put here now?" Travis smiled, the answer simple and sure. "Whatever we want. A study for you. A place for us to make new memories." Ethan's eyes shone, a small smile curving his lips. "I would like that." As they left the room, Travis paused in the doorway one last time. He took a slow breath, feeling the final weight of the past lift from his shoulders. The door clicked shut behind him, a soft sound, final and yet full of promise. The room was empty now, but in that emptiness, he saw the space for something better, something built on trust and love. A few days later, Travis and Ethan stood on the front porch, the fresh coat of blue paint catching the morning sun, bright and hopeful. The scent of pine and fresh air filled the space around them, and Travis let himself take it in. This quiet victory he had carved from the chaos. He turned to Ethan, his voice steady. "Ready to start our first real day?" Ethan grinned, his eyes clear and bright. "Ready, Dad." They moved through the house together, the floors shining in the soft light, the walls bright with new paint. In the kitchen, Ethan helped Travis put up a shelf they had bought at the hardware store, his hands careful as he held the level. "Look straight to me," Ethan said, his voice proud. Travis stepped back, his smile easy and true. "It is perfect," he said. "Just like this house. Just like us." They paused for a moment, the quiet of the home wrapping around them. Travis reached out, resting his hand on Ethan's shoulder, his touch steady. "No matter what, Ethan, this is ours. It is built on truth. No one can take it from us." Ethan nodded, his voice calm and sure. "I know, Dad. I believe you." They shared a small smile, a moment of silent understanding that needed no more words. As the sun rose higher, Travis felt the last of the shadows slip away. The house was no longer a place of betrayal. It was a home, strong and honest. And in that morning light, he saw not just the man he had been, but the father he had become, and the future he and Ethan would build together. The lies were gone. The pain had been faced. And now, there was only the quiet strength of a new life. Theirs, and unbreakable. The following weekend, the air was warm and alive with birdsong, a gentle breeze stirring the freshly cut grass. Travis stood on the porch, his eyes sweeping across the yard, every inch of it a testament to their new beginning. The house, with its fresh coat of sky-blue paint, seemed to stand taller, a symbol of everything they had survived and built together. Inside, Ethan was hanging the last picture on the wall, a simple family photo of the two of them at the beach last summer. His fingers traced the edges of the frame, a small smile on his lips. "I like it here," he said softly. Travis walked over, his voice calm and sure. "So do I," he said. "Because it is ours. It is honest." Ethan nodded, his eyes bright. "I feel safe here now." Travis reached out, resting a hand on his shoulder. "That is all I ever wanted, Ethan. For you to feel safe and free." They spent the afternoon in the backyard, grilling burgers and talking about school and summer plans. There was laughter in the air, and for the first time in a long time, no part of Travis was waiting for the other shoe to drop. No part of him was haunted by what was or what might come next. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the yard, Ethan looked up at his father. "You know what, Dad? I think this is the happiest I have ever been." Travis smiled, a deep warmth in his chest. "Then we are doing it right." The last of the lights slipped away, and in the soft glow of the porch lights, Travis knew the truth. They had faced every betrayal, every lie, and they had won. Together. The next morning dawned bright and clear, a sky so blue it felt like a promise. Travis and Ethan shared a quiet breakfast, the air filled with the scent of coffee and toast. No words needed to be spoken. The comfort of that silence was enough. Later, Travis stepped outside, the cool breeze carrying the sweet scent of pine and the gentle hush of the morning. He looked back at the house, every window a reflection of the life they had reclaimed. Ethan joined him, his small hand slipping into Travis' strong one. "What now, Dad?" he asked quietly. Travis squeezed his hand, his voice steady and warm. "Now we live, Ethan. We live for today, for each other." They stood together in that moment, the sun rising behind them, painting the world in gold. The pain and lies of the past had been burned away, and what remained was something pure, the strength of a father's love, the quiet resilience of a family rebuilt. Travis took a slow breath, his heart full. "No matter what comes, we will always have this," he said softly. Ethan smiled, his voice calm and sure. "Always." The world felt wide open, a future waiting to be written in the bright morning light. And in that promise, Travis found everything he needed. The peace he had fought for, the safety he had given his son, and the simple, unshakable truth that they had emerged from the shadows together. And now, I have a question for all of you, dear viewers. Have you ever faced something so big, so painful, and found a way to build something beautiful from it? Let me know in the comments where you are watching from. I want to hear your stories, too. If you enjoyed this powerful tale of betrayal and redemption, do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell, so you never miss the next epic revenge thriller and emotional journey I have for you. Until then, take care of yourselves. And remember, the truth always finds its way to the light. We will meet again in the next story. Stay strong. Stay real.